I'd like to share with you a little bit about myself and my spiritual journey. It's really been my whole life, of course, my whole life experience, and a lot of it has been so difficult and so challenging and so painful. And that's exactly why I offer and share what I do in order to support and assist other people in releasing the pain and the suffering. And not only that, but also simply finding the freedom, the joy, the peace, the harmony that they are deeply interested in. So what I can tell you is that back in the mid-90s, 96, 97, right in there, I started praying every day, many times a day, to have a full realization of the Christ consciousness, to have that spiritual awakening, opening my heart, opening my mind, a full realization of the oneness of all life. So that became my primary prayer. And here's why. Because I thought everything else would be added unto me if I had that. So I didn't yet have that language in my mind about seek first the kingdom which is within, and all else will be added unto you. But I did believe that the only prayer that made sense for me, really, as a foundational, basic, day-to-day prayer, was to have a full realization of the Christ presence as my awareness. Because I figured, geez, if I had that, what else would I possibly want? Wouldn't that pretty much cover everything? So I had that insight and that awareness. And actually now looking back and thinking about it, that was pretty good. So from there, I also began to pray that my life, my work, my expression in the world would inspire and motivate others to take loving action in their lives, to uplift them, to inspire and motivate them to take loving action in their own life. In other words, to get up off the sofa, out of the lazy boy, out of the house, and take loving action in their life, in their relationships. So I started dedicating myself to that. And now, all these years later, I can really see that that is what is unfolding. So the prayer that I began praying all those years ago, 15, 16 years ago, is manifesting. It's manifesting. And I'm feeling more my true, authentic self every day. And that's what freedom feels like to me. It feels like the permission to be yourself, unafraid, always grateful, always peaceful. And that's a lot of where I live. And I found it so challenging to get to this space, but I was profoundly determined. I have that Sagittarian, Scorpio energy. I'm just determined. When I find something that I am interested in, I go for it. And I can be unrelenting, like a dog with a bone. And so that's how I've been with my spirituality and my spiritual practice. And I'm really grateful that I took that dog with a bone nature, that Scorpio, Sagittarian, fiery nature, and I applied it in this way because it's been so beneficial for me, and now I get to share the benefits with you. So here's one of the things that I've realized, and I speak about it all the time because it's just worth everything to me. It's worth more than any amount of money in the world, this realization. So what happened was I started to have really intense challenges in my personal relationships, in my work, in different areas of my life, where actually it seemed like every area of my life was pressing, like life was pressing against me. Now, it didn't just erupt out of nowhere. I can see now that what happened was I was praying with more intensity and more yearning to be free. And so everything that was unhealed in me started to come up for healing. So it wasn't like I was making a mistake or I was doing something wrong. I was doing something profoundly right. And in that turbulent time, which went on for years, what happened was I kept asking the divine, I kept asking my higher Holy Spirit self, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. I call it the higher Holy Spirit self. I kept asking for assistance, clarity, wisdom, insight, intuition, guidance. And the more I began to follow the inspiration and the more I began to follow the guidance, the clearer I became. And I started to have profound, miraculous healing, alignment that was unbelievable. Like, I could never have planned it that way, never in a million years. And it just kept coming and it kept coming. And I kept inviting it, believe me. So what happened was I had some really intense stuff with my family and with other people in my life. And through the practices that I was given by the higher Holy Spirit self to do, and the ways that I was told to work with my mind, with the upsets and the disappointments and the hurts and the betrayals, I did what I was told to do. I finally had reached a place where I could do what I was told to do, guided to do. And this is one of the biggest challenges for many spiritual seekers is they get divine insight and guidance all the time, but do they follow it? No. No. We have discovered this, have we not? So what I realized in myself was, what kind of crazy is it if you're praying, if I'm praying for divine guidance and insight, but then I don't follow it? So it took me so many years to finally go, what, am I crazy? So I stopped being crazy. And I decided to start following the guidance and really following it. Even when I didn't feel like following it. Even when following it felt like walking on hot coals. Because I didn't want to give up my opinions and judgments and all that stuff that I thought I needed. And I don't mean stuff in the world. I mean stuff in my mind. Thoughts, perceptions, opinions, judgments, all that blame and shame, regret, resentment, fantasies of revenge, all that stuff. Whew. It was intense. So I began to receive these really clear insights of ways to work with my mind, ways to increase my spiritual practice, focus my spiritual practice. And honest to God, I felt like I started to be on the fast track to healing in a way that was unimaginable to me beforehand. So now remember, I became a religious science practitioner in the Agape community. I became a minister through the training at the Agape International Spiritual Center. I had the best training in the world. I had all of that good stuff. And there was still a lot of my mind that just wouldn't get with the spiritual program. I was so resistant and so reluctant. Really, I was stubborn in so many ways. And so, just remembering it is intense. And what I did was, I started to apply these spiritual tools that I was getting, and the profound healing, the miraculous healing began to take place. And one of the profound insights that I had was that I had been one of these spiritual seekers who was reading lots of books, who was taking lots of classes, doing all this great work with the best teachers in the world and the best classmates in the world. It was wonderful, and still I wasn't getting the spiritual juice, the spiritual mojo that I thought was possible, what I felt was possible, what I believed was possible. I wasn't quite there. And so I'm wondering, where is it? Why am I not finding it? What is it that I'm not getting right? And those questions were answered to me intuitively. And I really understood, I began to understand that teaching of seek first the kingdom and all else will be added unto you. I really began to understand for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Because all of a sudden, I felt like my ears could start to hear, my eyes could start to see, the inner eye could start to see in a way that I'd never been able to before. And what I began to comprehend was that there were certain formulas, mystical, invisible formulas. And it's all there in A Course in Miracles. It's all there in Science of Mind. But I didn't see it. It wasn't given to me in a way that I could see it until I was 100% willing. And then it began to unfold for me. Bam, 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 bam. And one thing led to another and to another and to another. So let me tell you this. One of the things that I completely know now is the path of spiritual unfoldment. It is, if you were going to diagram it out, it kind of looks like a staircase. So there's the sense that when we have a realization, boom, we're jumping to the next level, the next stair, right? No, not really. Because we have insights and revelations of truth that are earth-shattering and blinding and mystical and powerful fairly often, but then we forget about them. We have major ahas and insights, and then we forget about them. I've seen it over and over again in myself, in my clients, in my students. So we have the insight. We think, oh, I've jumped to the next level of awareness. Not true. How we get to the next level of awareness is when we take that insight and that clarity and we incorporate it into our life and we become the living representation of it. We become the living demonstration, the living spiritual practice. When that happens, then the insight is really ours. It's more than just a momentary aha. It lives in our heart and mind. And until we get into that heart-mind congruency, where we are aligned with the truth and we can't be shaken out of it, it's just a thought in our head. It's not something that's really happening for us. And that's the thing for me is, I'm a smart person, so I understood Course in Miracles, not a problem. Science of Mind, not a problem. I get it. I understand it. Separation is the only problem we have. All of our thoughts create. Yes, I get it. I get it. But until I began to live as though I truly understood it, I didn't really get it. No, I didn't really get it. And then, one by one, I was given the practices that worked for me. And that's what I share. So that's what Finding Freedom is all about. I call it my spiritual boot camp class because I think that's what some spiritual seekers really can use and make use of. A spiritual boot camp. So it's 7 weeks and I'm giving you very specific spiritual practices to do every week. And they unlock the doors to your mind and to your heart if you do them. Now, one of the things I can tell you is I have never had it be the case. In all the years that I've been offering Finding Freedom, I have never had it be the case that someone did the spiritual practices and they didn't have amazing, life-changing breakthroughs and they never fell back from there. The people who really do it and who are committed and who take it like a boot camp, they have profound, lasting healing and transformation, every single one of them. And that's why I am willing to guarantee this class. So Finding Freedom is a 7-week spiritual boot camp class for people who are really, really aware that what they can benefit from is being in a partnership. Not just with the Holy Spirit, yes, of course, but on the human realm. To have someone go with them, take their hand, and show them how they can do it. So we go as a group, and we have the group energy focus. This is a much smaller class than Living A Course in Miracles. This is not thousands of people. It's a much smaller class. And one of the great things in Finding Freedom is you're going to be able to ask me questions. Yes, you can ask me questions. So Here's how it works. 7 weeks of spiritual boot camp. I'm going to give you very specific practices. I'm going to outline them. I have videos for each one of the specific practices so that you'll hear it in the class and then you'll be able to see it in the video so that it will make sense to you. And you're going to be able to, after the 1 hour class is over each week, we're going to have a 30-minute Q&A section where you're going to be able to type in questions, or we'll undo the phones and you'll be able to speak your question into the class. So, let me just say, I don't do much one-on-one counseling anymore because of the classes I'm teaching. That this class, if you were going to do one-on-one work with me, first of all, in the one-on-ones, I would never be able to pack in the number of practices and tools that I can pack into Finding Freedom, because in the one-on-one sessions, people like to say so much about their own stuff that they don't really take in as much of the practices. So it would probably cost you several $1,000s to be able to do the one-on-one work that you can do in this class for a price of $292 for the entire 7-week class. All the practices, you get the downloads each and every week, you get the video support, and you get the transcripts. Huge amount of support so that you can really study and focus. Now, what I know is that when people do it in a partnership with a friend or a family member, it gets even better for them because they have that commitment. It's someone that they can talk to every day and compare notes. So for that reason, for $191, you can bring a friend. You can bring a family member. So $292 for the first person, $191 for the second person. And for anyone who's ever taken Finding Freedom in the past, you can retake it again with me for $99. Every time I offer, you can take a retake for only $99. How cool is that? Now, one of the great things is 7 weeks, it's a boot camp. So please, this is for people who are willing to commit to doing the work. This is not for people who like to think about doing the work without actually doing the work. This is about doing your spiritual work, your spiritual practices. So the invitation to you is to make yourself available for the highest level of healing and transformation that you can possibly experience, knowing that your transformation is something you get to give as a gift to the world. It's so powerful. I know this class isn't for everyone. I know that. But you will know if it's for you. You will know if it's for you. The bells will be going off. Your heart will go off. You will know that this is a class for you and this is your next step in your unfoldment. So if you're feeling like you're stuck, this is a great way to get unstuck and get yourself going. If you're feeling lost and confused, this is a great way for you to get on track and get clear. If you're someone who has been really just kind of laying back, you're not suffering, you're not in tremendous amounts of pain, but you're really passionate about your spirituality, and yet you know that there are new levels for you, mystical levels of unfoldment and insight and wisdom and clarity and transformation that you would like to experience the thrill of and the enjoyment of, and to really take your another level. Perhaps you're a healer, or you're a life coach, or you're a minister or a practitioner, you're a spiritual teacher, and you know that there are some ways in which you don't walk your talk, there are some ways in which you're teaching and you believe it to be true, but you don't really live it. You're not really aligned. And so what happens is you come into this group energy of vortex, and I am praying for you every single day. You align with that, and the movement happens. How can it not happen? See, this is the thing that people don't really understand is spirit cannot fail. Spirit cannot fail. So we give the spirit the heavy lifting, and we move out of the ego mind, and we really align with the spirit. So think of a physical boot camp, like a personal training boot camp where you're doing push-ups and sit-ups and all stuff like that, and you're there at 6:30 in the morning or whatever, it resets your body, it resets your mind, it resets your muscles, it resets you into self-nurturing, self-care, self-importance, and self-esteem. You build self-confidence because you're doing it. No one can do that for you. This is the same way. That's why I call Finding Freedom a spiritual boot camp. Here's the thing. This Finding Freedom class is coming right up. It is starting 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a 90-minute class each week for 7 weeks. Remember that you get the guarantee, the money-back guarantee. If you do the practices and you don't have amazing, powerful breakthrough transformation, I will refund your money. Happily. Absolutely. I'm totally willing to guarantee this class because what I know is spirit cannot fail. Spirit cannot fail. It's not about me. It's not about me at all. I know these practices work. Many, many, many people have proven this right alongside me in this very same class over and over again for the last few years. So this is up to you. Are you going to put your whole self into it? Are you willing to rock your world? So for some people, summer is a time to lay back and chillax. Are you willing to chillax in a spiritual level and really release all the ways that you've been playing small, all the habits of suffering and suffering? Are you willing to set yourself free? If you are, you will know it. I don't have to convince you. You get to decide. You're spiritually mature enough to know if this is for you or not. So are you ready to bring on your experience of freedom and set yourself free and bring everybody else with you? Because we always share the benefits with everyone, right? Yes, 7 weeks. Register now. You'll be able to collect your bonuses and prepare yourself for freedom. It's time, isn't it? Let's do it together. I love doing it together. We're going to have fun and rock it out. This is the summer of love and freedom. Woo! Love